every single time you're procrastinating, it's being triggered by stress. See, that's the crazy thing about procrastination. It has nothing to do with what you need to do. Procrastination, defined in the dictionary, is avoiding or putting something off, delaying it. But when you look at the research, and we're going to dig into that in a minute, the way that researchers define procrastination is that you are avoiding stress. That's what you're avoiding. You're not avoiding the application. You're not avoiding the illustration. You blow off things that take brain power because you are trying to avoid stress. Procrastination is the attempt to feel better in this moment. And strangely, what you're about to learn is that when I walk you through this 3-step research-backed technique that you're going to use every single time that you catch yourself procrastinating, is that procrastination is triggered by stress. That's what it's about. I'm going to say that again. Procrastination is a habit that you have learned and that you repeat whenever you feel stressed. And this comes from research from Dr. Timothy Peichel at Carleton University. His definition of procrastination is this: a subconscious desire to feel good right now. And he shares that procrastination, it's just all about stress. And I'm going to unpack this for you because when you first hear that, wait, procrastination is a subconscious desire to feel good right now? How the heck does that make sense? I mean, Viddy really wants to draw, Mel. So wouldn't it make sense that she'd feel good if she were drawing? Sort of. Sort of. And I'm going to explain this. It makes sense intellectually, but when I unpack how stress is triggering you to stop doing something that you care about or that you need to do, this is all going to be like, holy cow, why didn't I hear this sooner? So I'm going to give you an example, but I want you to understand that that stress that is triggering you to procrastinate, it could be something going on in your life right now, or it could be deep-seated stress, like childhood trauma. It could be anxiety or depression or something in your past that you haven't dealt with. A situation that you're worried about that's completely unrelated to work or to the things that you need to do. It might just be the relentless pressure and stress that you feel because you are so hard on yourself. I mean, you haven't even met Viddy, and you can hear in her voice. The woman beats herself up all day long. Talk about stressful. And that's why I'm so excited to be able to teach this to you today. It's why I love this topic so much, because when we talk about procrastination, we're not talking about getting shit done. You're going to get shit done as a byproduct. But when you truly understand the research and the topic of procrastination, it's about self-awareness, stress management, and being effective and productive on the things that matter to you. It's about feeling a sense of control and agency in your life. So let's really unpack what it means when I say that your habit of procrastinating is triggered by the stress in your life. Stop and think for a minute. What is stressing you out right now? You know, I just kind of talked about the breadbasket, getting older, that kind of stuff. But let me stop and think, I'm stressing about the fact that my parents are getting older. And I haven't seen them in a while. I'm going to go see them in a week. And it's making me realize, my God, we have not seen each other. And I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. It stresses me out. Maybe the same is true for you. Or maybe your mom and dad, their health is failing. And it's really upsetting you. Or perhaps like I used to have profound financial stress, like just crushing, relentless financial stress, always on my mind, always worried about it. Or your best friends are going through a divorce. Maybe that's something that's on your mind and it's really bothering you and you don't know what to do about it. And so here you are in your day-to-day life. You got this big thing that is on your mind. You carry it around like a backpack of stress. You're thinking about it all the time. Maybe it's even just in your subconscious, just grinding away at you. You haven't been working on the dissertation. Oh my God, I need to work on that thing. And why am I not getting to it? And oh my God, I need to do this. And so here you go. And like Viddy, you sit down and there's something you need to do. Maybe you have to work on your portfolio. Maybe you got to make a few sales calls. Maybe you need to sort through all of those medical bills and figure out like how to get compensated and reimbursed from insurance. Talk about like something that requires concentration. Maybe you're working on your business plan. Maybe it's something you're really excited about. You're working on the next chapter of your book. But as you sit there and you start to do the work, here's what's interesting. You need to concentrate, don't you? Like doing that thing requires a bit of focus. It requires your prefrontal cortex to engage. You've been learning all about this on the Mel Robbins podcast. But you got the stress backpack on your back. You got all of this stuff ruminating through you. And it might not be something that is present of mind. It might not be like maybe all your kids are doing fine today. And so you're not worried about, you can't put your finger on it. Your stress backpack might be the fact that you're still living with the effects of childhood trauma. And so when you walk into work and you sit down, or you've got a list of phone calls you need to make, or you've got a report you need to finish, or you've got something you need to edit, and that's going to require you to concentrate, your brain literally looks at you and is like, excuse me? You want me to do an illustration right now? You want me to make a phone call to a stranger and try to sell them some of this stuff right now? Have you not seen that I have a stress backpack on? You want me to focus on 15 phone calls when I've been worried about how I'm going to pay my bills all day and what mom's going to do? Can we just look at some cat videos or some memes or some TikTok dance trends? I mean, I need a break. And then all of a sudden what happens? Next thing you know, 2 hours have gone. You haven't made a single phone call. You haven't drawn a single thing. You have not even cracked open the folder with a financial aid application in it. You've been online shopping. You've been scrolling through TikTok. You have been texting people mindlessly. You've been looking at social media. And then what happens next? You go, oh my God, holy cow, it's already 3 o'clock. I didn't do any of this thing. And next thing you know, holy cow, you're even more stressed out. And let me go back to that example that I said about micro procrastination, which is the number of times you pick up your phone and you mindlessly just check out and you start scrolling on social media. I often will look at my daughters as they're just like, it doesn't even make that noise, but I would imagine they're going through it so fast. I'm like, what are you doing? Nothing. Taking a break from life. And it feels like you're doing something, right? Because you're like, but you're doing this because you want to check out for a minute. You don't want to have to think about anything. You don't want to have to focus on something. Why? Because your brain and your body's already taxed. See, when you're stressed, it triggers that fight, flight, freeze alarm system in your body. You want to know what procrastination is? It's freezing. I'm going to say that again because I can feel the wake-up calls going ding, 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 ding as you're listening. I'm going to say that again. You know that you have a fight or flight response, right? When you get stressed out, you go on edge. There's also freeze when you're stressed. You feel paralyzed. Procrastination is a form of freezing. Let me explain this. See, life triggers you. A bill arrives in the mail or in your inbox, and you're thinking, how the hell am I going to pay that? All of a sudden, you get triggered by stress. Your brain goes into survival mode to protect you, and you freeze. So without even thinking about it, you procrastinate on something. Why? Because you're trying to feel a little better right now. That's why you look at social media. That's why you blow off the 15 phone calls because those feel hard. That's why you blow off the writing that you need to do, or the video that you need to shoot, or the thing that feels hard. And then what happens is, because you've blown it off in order to feel a little bit better right now, you get a little behind. And guess what happens? You then feel more stressed. And this is exactly what Vidi is experiencing. And this is why you got to get in front of this procrastination habit, because this will very quickly spiral out of control. And here she is talking about how she gets triggered, that when she sits down and she starts to worry about, and here's her stress, is it going to be good enough? I got to get this right. I don't know if this is the right drawing to do. And she starts thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And she even uses the word siren naturally. She even feels like it's an alarm that's getting triggered. Listen to this.
I realized whenever anything good is about to happen, a siren goes off inside my head. Oh, it's too good to be true. Oh, it's too good to be true. Or you think you can do this. Seriously, you can't. They chose the wrong person. You're clearly not good enough. There are hundreds of much more talented artists. When you finish this project, they'll know that you are a fake, that you are not good enough. So I think you should just stop doing whatever you're doing right now. So, yeah. Every time something good happens, I find myself running from it. And I think we name this self-doubt as wanting to be perfect. And for God's sake, I don't even like perfect. I don't want my drawings to be perfect. I like the imperfect parts of my drawing. And another thing, sometimes this negative talk, this negative voice gets so loud. I know that if I do certain things, like if I go and give myself a high five, I am going to feel better and I will be able to get back and do my job. But I just don't do it. I just don't. It's like feeling shitty has become a comfortable feeling. I don't even know if that makes any sense.
That last line, it's like feeling shitty, has become a comfortable feeling. Viddy, what you are describing makes perfect sense. What you're describing is how stress and this desire, this tension between just trying and expressing yourself and this deep-seated fear that it's not going to be right or it's not going to be perfect, and how that paralyzes you. That's why you're procrastinating. And what you're describing is how it triggers you to freeze when you sit down to work as an illustrator. And now you are in a vicious cycle because you're so used to feeling this way, it has become comfortable. And I want to make a really clear distinction, everyone, that the word comfortable doesn't mean you like it. The word comfortable means you're used to it, that it's normal to feel shitty. It's normal to feel stuck. It's normal to feel like you know what you need to do, but you can't make yourself do this. And I want you to hear me loud and clear. This is normal. This is a normal experience to have, and you can do something about it. And if you relate to Viddy like I do, good, because then you're seeing it. You're seeing that you're trapped in this cycle, and seeing it is really the first step, and you going, okay, good, because I'm going to break the cycle. I'm going to replace it with something else. If you're still trying to spot yourself in this vicious procrastination loop, let me give you another more relatable example that I've been hinting at several times. How many times have you had that experience where you're going to bed, you're brushing your teeth, and you start to feel stressed out as you're going to bed because you reflect on the night and you think, oh my God, I just wasted the whole evening. I just spent 3 hours scrolling through social media while I was lounging on the couch, watching something on Netflix, and I'm not going to get that time back. And now it's too late. And I know why you did it, and so do you. You were stressed out. You finished the day, and you were tired, and you were stressed, or you were worried about something, or you felt like, my God, I've been concentrating all day. I just need a break. They call this revenge procrastination. When you literally do nothing at night, you blow off time, you waste your time because you're getting back at your job because it stressed you out. And, look, is it a big deal to scroll on social media now and then? Of course not. But when this habit of micro procrastination or revenge procrastination starts to cause a cycle of you coming home and feeling stressed out all the time, and now you're going to bed stressed out and you're waking up stressed out, and you didn't take the time tonight to set yourself up tomorrow morning, and now you're waking up stressed out because you're feeling behind based on what happened last night, this is how the stress builds and builds and builds. And so I think the big question is this: Mel, what do I do about it? You now got me freaked out. I'm no longer frozen. I want to run. I want to take a sledgehammer and break this cycle in half. Well, when we come back, you got me. I know what you're probably thinking right now because I get this question a lot. Mel, what's the difference between being lazy, being procrastinator, having excuses, and doing nothing? So let me attack those one by one. Being lazy is fine. Like, if you know you're lazy, more power to you. That's great. You know what's great about lazy people is they don't make themselves wrong. You know you're an overachiever if you beat yourself up when you're not doing everything that you need to be doing. People who are truly lazy, do not give a damn about the fact that they're not doing anything. You know people like this. They're not motivated. They don't care. They're not looking to change the world. They don't care. And here's the thing that I feel about human beings. If it works for you, do it because it's your life. Nobody said that you have to go change the world. If you enjoy your life and you consider yourself to be a lazy person, you're winning at life because you enjoy it. And so we could all learn something from lazy people because people that are truly lazy have no problem being lazy. So that's number one. Number two, procrastination. Procrastination is a habit that is triggered by stress. Let's say that again. Procrastination is a habit of avoiding what you need to do because you're stressed out. And there's a lot of research around this. So I'll explain it very, very quickly and we'll do a much bigger episode around it. But when you are procrastinating, it's typically because you need to do something that requires brain power. And when you're stressed out because mom is sick or you got to pick up the kids at school or you have a big assignment at work, when you're stressed, the idea of having to tap into more brain power and more energy to focus on something else, that's the last thing your brain wants to do. And so your brain is going to want to avoid working on that project or avoid cleaning out the back bedroom or avoid having the hard conversation or avoid the research paper. Why? Because it's going to require you to focus and tap into brain power, and you're already so stressed because of everything else that avoiding those things when you're stressed becomes a habit. That's all that procrastination is. And there's a simple way to break the habit of procrastinating. Research shows that if you simply force yourself to start the project, like literally walk into the back bedroom that needs cleaning and start cleaning. If you simply force yourself to start, and obviously the 5-second rule, counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, best place to start, 80% of the time you'll keep going. So procrastination is a habit, okay, that's triggered by stress. The only solution is just start. The third piece that you said was excuses. So excuses is when you are actively campaigning to not do something. That's what an excuse is. It's when you are convincing yourself not to do something, okay? Do you notice that all three things that I just explained, being lazy, procrastinating, and excuses, those are things that are very busy. When I'm asking you to do nothing, I'm asking you to be hyper intentional about unplugging for a second. Hyper intentional about removing the stress, removing all of the pressure that you feel. I'm asking you to do something really positive for your mental health, for your stamina, for your energy, for your resilience, for your presence. That's what doing nothing is. It's not being lazy. It's not procrastinating. It's not an excuse. It's literally just allowing yourself to take a break for a second because you deserve that. This is a question from Vicky. Vicky writes, I'm trying to become a fashion and beauty blogger and earn money from it full time, but I have some kind of mental block and procrastination problem when it comes to actually pushing myself to do anything related to that goal. This is something that we hear about all the time, that you have this huge goal, yet you cannot seem to push through the mental block, that you have something that you want to do full time, but you can't seem to beat procrastination. This is something that we see over and over and over again. And it's this idea that you don't ever start. You stay trapped in your head. And if you feel paralyzed, if you've been spinning the same ideas over and over and over again, then you know what I'm talking about. You see, many of you are thinking way too fucking big. You're attaching way too much pressure on the things that you're interested in. Until you start blogging about fashion, you won't even know if you like it. So thinking that you have a dream about doing it and thinking that you have this grand plan that you're going to do it full time, it is a complete and utter waste of your time to be dreaming that big. And let me tell you why. Because oftentimes, if you're the kind of person like Vicky that's getting trapped up here, the bigness of what you're thinking about is what's stopping you. What I want you to do if you're in Vicky's situation is I want you to stop dreaming and I want you to just start doing small things. I want you to go back to curiosity and less into crushing your big goals. The thing about life and business and success is that you have to be willing to start. And for people that procrastinate, starting is the hardest part. For people that worry, for people that think too big, starting is the hardest part. Folks that study procrastination talk about the fact that the only way to beat procrastination is to create what they call a starting ritual, which is a way to push yourself to get started. Because all the research shows that if we can push you to get started on something, you'll likely keep going. So, Vicky, the only way to get out of the mental trap is to stop fucking thinking and actually start doing it. And maybe thinking that this is going to be your full-time employment, that's the wrong way to go about it. I want you to literally just commit to writing some sort of blog about fashion every day for a fucking week. That's it. Don't think about full-time. Don't think about the bigness of it. Actually start doing it. You may discover you don't like it, for crying out loud, but you're never, ever, ever going to advance if you continue up here. How do you force yourself to do it? Well, you can use the 5-second rule for that. You can wake up in the morning and say, today I'm committing to making small progress on this thing I'm curious about, which is fashion blogging. You can find time when you're going to sit down, and then the second that it's time to do it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start writing. Here's what you can expect to experience if you're somebody like Vicky who has trouble getting out of the thinking loop. The second that it's time to actually move from thought to action, you will become a first-class asshole. You will feel resistance. You will struggle with what you're going to write. You will start to feel like it needs to be perfect. You're going to come up with excuses. You're going to talk yourself out of it. Why? Well, because you're used to thinking, and now you're asking yourself to do. Why am I explaining what you should expect? The reason why I'm explaining what you should expect is because it's normal to feel those things. It's normal to feel scared. It's normal to feel like you don't want to do it. It's normal to think about doing it perfect. Letting those things stop you is a choice. So, let me recap. If you're the kind of person like Vicky that's got all these big ass dreams, but you can't get out of your thinking loops, you can't stop procrastinating, you can't stop thinking about it, you get overwhelmed and so you do nothing, the only solution is micro action. That's it. I don't want to hear shit about your big goals. In fact, for everybody out there, I don't want to hear shit about your dreams and your goals until you're actually taking the actions every day for a couple weeks straight. You don't get to talk about your dreams until you can prove that you wake up and every single damn day you push yourself to take one small action forward. If you can do that consistently for a month, then you can start talking about your dreams. Then you can start talking about how you make money at it. Then you can start talking about how you build skill around it. But until you can actually get your ass out of bed and make the commitment to yourself to do the actions required to become a blogger, or to be a blogger, not become, to be a blogger, to be somebody that's in the restaurant business, you're just all talk. That's all I got to say on this.
We all procrastinate. We avoid the things that we know that we need to do, and then we spend the rest of the day beating ourselves up. It's amazing. Actually, it sucks, doesn't it? So how do you stop procrastinating? Oh, simple. Just nail yourself to a chair. That's what you do. You tell yourself no booze until you get it done. That works. No, it doesn't. The reason why these things don't work is because most of us don't even understand what procrastination is. I know I certainly didn't. The reason why you procrastinate is not why you think. Procrastination has nothing to do with work. Procrastination is a stress reliever. That's right. It's a tool that you use to give yourself relief from stress that you feel. And the stress that you may be feeling right now might be stressed about money. You might be stressed about your health. Maybe you're stressed about something going on at work or about a relationship that you're in. And the way that this relates to procrastination is you're stressed out, you got work you know you need to do, but instead of doing it, you go online or you watch the highlights of last night's game or you waste an hour looking at Facebook. And when you do that, when you avoid work, it makes you feel good, but just for a minute. See, this is where we get procrastination all wrong. A lot of people think procrastination is about willpower. It means that you're lazy. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about your stress. That's why your work ethic or discipline, that's not going to solve this either. The key to stopping procrastination, number one, is understanding what it is. It's a way that you deal with stress. And number two, it's about 5-second decisions that stop the cycle of procrastinating. Because when you change your decisions, you're going to change everything. And here's how you're going to use the 5-second rule to do it. When you catch yourself procrastinating, or you feel yourself starting to avoid what you need to do, use the rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, activate your prefrontal cortex, and then acknowledge. Acknowledge that you feel stressed out. That's the first piece. Then you're going to use the 5-second rule to just get started. That's it, for 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. Force yourself, I'm stressed out, I get it, but I'm going to work for 5 minutes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sit down and get started. After you've worked for 5 minutes, give yourself a break. Watch all the cat videos you want, I don't really care. The point here is that this is a way that you can use the 5-second rule in combination with research about beating procrastination that puts you in control of your decisions. Stacy found that when she used the 5-second rule to improve her relationship with herself, there was an amazing result. She stopped procrastinating. In her words, your rule has helped me grow in ways I never thought possible. I no longer procrastinate on anything. And the same is going to be true for you. Because when you understand that procrastination is something that you do when you're stressed, and you also understand that the secret to beating procrastination, which is a habit, is to just get started, now you can use the 5-second rule to leverage all the research that will help you end the habit of procrastinating once and for all. To learn more about the science behind why this works, why just getting started is the key, and all of the science behind it, I want you to read chapter 11 of the 5-second rule book. And it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and at your local bookstore.
I often find myself procrastinating on working on my side hustle of making online content by keeping busy with cleaning. It gives me the illusion that I'm being productive.
Yes.
How do I stay on track? It reminds me of you with the furniture.
Yes, I used to rearrange the furniture in my living room every week because it allowed me to distract myself from doing the real work that I needed to do, which was to create a side hustle so we could pay our bills. It became like a joke. So the thing about procrastination is it's triggered by stress. So your cleaning is being triggered by stress. And there's only one way to deal with this pattern. You have to interrupt it. So when you catch yourself cleaning next time, that's a moment of power because you're now present. You're like, oh my God, here I am cleaning again. Use the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to switch gears in your brain and get control in the moment. And then I want you to just do one thing on your side hustle. That's it. Drop the cleaning stuff, walk over, send one email on your side hustle, write one paragraph of content, do one thing. And here's why. Here's why I want you to focus on doing one thing or working for 5 minutes. That's it. Set a timer for 5 minutes. I'm going to work on content for 5 minutes. We know based on the research that you're 80% of the time you're going to keep going past the 5 minutes because the issue isn't that you don't know how to create content. The issue is that when you start to feel stressed out, you go to cleaning. It's a pattern that you've trained yourself to do. The only way to interrupt that pattern is to break it and insert a new one, okay? And let me just say something about procrastination and perfectionism, okay? Because how many of you struggle with being a perfectionist? Yep, I'm sure. The thing about those of you who are perfectionists is that it's not about being perfect. Perfectionism is really your attempt to be in control. And we're seeing a massive rise in the number of people that struggle with perfectionism. And I think it has to do with the fact that our culture is now so focused on performing from an early childhood, from how you do in school to being on the right club team, and then it's the travel team, and then it's the this team, and then it's recruiting for college, and the way that we parent our kids, and helicoptering and swooping down, and the pressure of college, and the pressure to achieve, and the concern that you're going to make a mistake. I mean, this has become a self-imposed epidemic. And so if you are somebody who struggles with perfectionism, you can't turn in something at work until it's perfect. You can't finish the paper until it's perfect. You can't even start with redecorating your room until you know the perfect color. That this is really about control. You are uncomfortable just being in the flow. You're uncomfortable with the unknown. And the most important thing here is to realize that this is a pattern, and you absolutely have to break free of the need to do everything right and to get into the mode of just being willing to try. Get into the mode of understanding, hey, if I turn in something at work that's not like perfect, I'll get feedback and then I'll make it right. Like in the work and in the willingness to just keep pushing things down the line, keep showing up, keep raising your hand even though you're not sure you're going to say it right, keep contributing, keep asking for feedback. You 1,000% will slowly lose the grip of being a perfectionist, because the only way to break that pattern is to realize, oh my God, I'm trying to keep control, and that's why I'm holding on to this paper, that's why I'm torturing myself, that's why I'm doing everything. The magic is in the willingness to push things forward, to try, to get in the flow, to basically say, I'm just going to do my best. That's it. I'm not going to do it right. I'm going to just try. I'm going to do my best. And when I get feedback on how I can do it better, that's how I'm going to learn. I am a lifelong learner. I don't ever think I'm going to do anything perfect. This is not something I struggle with anymore, because I have broken this pattern in my mind and realized that all of the opportunity and magic comes from you being willing to put yourself out there when you're not perfect, being willing to do things and start things when you haven't figured it out, and understanding that when you get into the flow and into the conversation and into the live stream, that you can get into problem solving mode and you can figure it out.
So Leela is up next, and I love this because she listened to the episode we recently did that you guys loved. Holy cow, it was one of the most shared episodes on Spotify. I'm so glad you got a lot out of it. And a lot of you responded to the fact that I connected your habit of procrastinating to the fight or flight response that we have when we get stressed out. You know how when you get stressed, you have that fight, flight, or freeze. Procrastination is a form of freezing. And so that episode is Procrastination, the Only Way to Stop Procrastination, based on research. Again, we will link to it in the show notes. And Leela had a follow-up question on that, and here it is.
Mel, this is a huge thank you. I'm an artist, and also I procrastinate, and I get stressed, freeze, and then end up doing nothing. I heard what you said on the procrastination episode, and I think wearing the stress backpack is super heavy right now, and I plan to shed it today. I need to manage my time better. So now I need to figure out how to get back to my easel and start painting. I can't wait for your next episode. Thanks so much, Leela.
Hey, it's Mel, and I just want to talk to you since you're watching this on YouTube. First of all, thank you for being a fan of the Mel Robbins podcast. You have made us one of the top-ranking podcasts in the entire world. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because it's your support that allows our team to bring this to you at zero cost. And so that's really important. And I don't want you watching this on YouTube while you're driving a car. Will you take me with you by subscribing to the Mel Robbins podcast on your favorite podcast platform? Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher. You can listen on Audible. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, please subscribe to The Mel Robbins Show. It really matters for a growing show like ours, and it allows us to continue to bring you all this great stuff at zero cost. Okay, Let's go back to the show. Leela, I'm so happy you're on our walk today with me and that you shared that, because procrastination is a form of lifestyle overwhelm. And in case you haven't listened to that episode yet, as you're taking this walk with us, when Leela said stress backpack, she's using a term that I used in that episode to basically say all those things that are going on in your life, the things that are causing you stress, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you literally carry it around with you as if all that stress is in a backpack. Joni, my friend who was caring for her mom, backpack of stress. Everybody that you've heard on our walk today, the demands of their life, the pressure that they're putting on themselves, all of that is a stress backpack. And you have one too. And what happens when you feel really stressed out is you can start to freeze. And then what happens when you freeze and you push things off and you procrastinate? You get stuck in lifestyle overwhelm. You're in this vicious cycle of pushing things off and then beating yourself up and then feeling overwhelmed because you're pushing things off that you really want to get to. And so what is the tool here? Because there's a huge lie that you tell yourself when you procrastinate, okay? And I can hear it. And the lie that we tell ourselves is, I can handle this all in my head. That if I think about it, I'm working on it. Not true. Not true. It's one of the reasons why I use that tool of a brain dump all the time, to get it out of my head, to not manage it in my head. Because if it spins in my head, it turns into rumination and nothing gets done. Just like those blank walls, those pictures are not getting done by me spinning thoughts about it. And so the real thing I want you to understand is that if it truly matters, you have to schedule it. Things that matter end up in your calendar. And so one tool that I want you to use, Leela, is ask yourself this. This is a journaling prompt that you can use, everybody, that I just love. How can I make this easy? How can I make this easy? What's the simplest way that you can make it easier to paint? And for me, I'm going to share with you, I have to do the things that are important first thing in the morning. It's not that I'm not an evening person. It's that by the end of the day, I am so wiped out and just gassed. I don't have the stamina or the willpower or the energy to force myself to do things that require energy. David Goggins, who I just love, he has his alter ego, Goggins. Goggins pushes himself and has the mental discipline. And I freaking love that. But I don't want to set up my life so that every night I've saved the thing that really brings me joy. I have to summon up what researchers call, and we've talked about this in other episodes, it's called activation energy. Csikszentmihalyi, who's a famous psychologist from the University of Chicago, studied motivation and flow states extensively and realized that this resistance that we feel to doing things that we've put off, that requires activation energy and getting out of bed, pushing yourself to paint. For me, it's exercise. And if I put off exercise till the evening, it's not happening. It takes me 100 times more energy to drag my ass to that Peloton treadmill at night than it does to drag my ass to that Peloton treadmill in the morning. And so ask yourself, how can I make this easy? Maybe you need to do it at night. Maybe that is easier for you. Maybe you need to do it in the morning. Maybe it's the weekend. Or maybe you need to, if you can afford it, you need the structure of a painting class. One of the ways that I jump-started exercising, and I realize not everybody can afford this, but one of the ways I jump-started exercising was to start taking classes again. Because I would pay for it and then I was motivated to go, and I knew once I got there, I could outsource the motivation to the instructor that would be yelling at me. Maybe you need a friend to do this with you, or you need somebody that's going to be your accountability partner and be really annoying on Saturday morning and text you and be like, hey, did you paint yet? I'm not meeting you for a walk until you did. And you can trade that kind of thing. I think a lot of you know, for example, that I do a lot of the ice baths, where you climb into a really cold barrel of water, or you jump into an icy pond or a river up here in Vermont, or you take a cold shower. Do you know how I make it easy? I do it with Chris, my husband. Chris is like living with a monk. The dude is so stoic. He just kind of climbs right in there. No big deal. He shames me into doing it. That's how I make it easier. He goes in first. Now I'm like, oh God, now I got to do it. But if I have to do it myself, it's hard. And so that's what I want you to understand. Procrastination creates overwhelm. And chronic procrastination creates a vicious cycle that becomes lifestyle overwhelm. And so understand that. And that's huge that you understand that. And then the second thing I want you to do is remember, get it out of your head. Don't manage it there. It's got to get scheduled in real time. And then ask yourself, how can I make this easy? Because you can. And there's no reason why the things that you need to do have to feel so hard. And the reason why they feel so hard, everybody, is because we're not taking the time to go, okay, first of all, am I in a lifestyle overwhelm situation where I need to be kinder to myself and I need to have more compassion for myself and I need to keep reminding myself that this is a marathon and I need a little bit of stamina and I'm not going to be able to get to everything. I remember when I was doing the talk show, I had this experience where most of my team came from Oprah Winfrey's talk show and from her organization. And so I was surrounded by all these people that were super, super experienced. And my executive producer arranged for me to talk to a really, really famous talk show host whose show is no longer on the air. And this guy spent like an hour talking to me, and I'll never forget what he told me. He said, Mel, being a daytime talk show host, doing 175 shows in 6 months, this is a marathon. He said the most important thing that you could do is protect your stamina and be kind and patient with yourself. And you're not going to be able to live your normal life. You're not going to be able to go out to dinner with friends because if you tape 3 shows in a row at CBS Broadcast Center 4 days a week, you are not going to have energy. And by the way, you can't afford to get sick because the show must go on. And so right now, tell your family and your friends that you love them, but you are about to go into a bunker right now, and you are about to focus on this. And then when you come up for air, you will be able to focus on having fun again and being with everyone else. And I think there are times in your life like that. Maybe you're studying for a dissertation. Maybe you are in the middle of applying to medical school. Maybe you're going through a divorce, or you've lost somebody that you love and you're grieving. That is a moment of legitimate overwhelm. And the best thing that you could do is identify it, call it out for what it is, and be kinder to yourself and remind yourself that if you are, you'll have the stamina to move through this. And you will move through this. And there will be a time in your life where you will not feel this way. But for now, it's about putting yourself first. And for those of us that are also struggling with lifestyle overwhelm, it's okay. You now know. And now you have free, proven, research-backed tools that you can use. You got your brain dump. You got your rule of 3. Remember, it doesn't fucking matter. You can do the photos later. Nobody cares but you. And make it easier. Make it easier. That's it. And this stuff is so powerful. Like it works so quickly. You don't realize how quickly you could break out of overwhelm because, like me, you've probably been stuck in this vicious cycle for so long that it's just the air you breathe. But there is something so much better that's available to you. You can create a better life. And that's why I wanted you to hear from a listener named Michelle last. And pay attention to the joy and the lightness in her voice. I wanted to invite Michelle on this walk with us because I want you to know that this is available to you when you finally take back control and you stop letting overwhelm run your life.
Holy shit, Mel. I just listened to your podcast on procrastination and it changed everything. You're the first person I've heard talk about money anxiety, oh my God, in a way that resonated with me. And you know what? I paid a credit card bill today that was $6. months late. I was in freeze mode, and when you said that on the podcast, I burst out crying. I mean, it was like a gut punch, and you thawed me. I paid that damn bill this morning, and all of a sudden I realized that I have more time on my hands. Like, I was sitting there wondering what I was supposed to do. I had energetic time because I'd been thinking about this bill for 6 months. I've been torturing myself and holding myself back from my greatness. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, what if it doesn't have to be hard? What if I can do the damn thing? Thank you so much, Mel. I'm really forever grateful.
Michelle, I'm forever grateful. And I'm really proud of you. And the thing I want to really highlight, because I can hear the energetic freedom. I can hear how light you are. And what I want to point out is, until you do the damn thing, you don't realize how much thinking about something and avoiding it and feeling overwhelmed by it, how much it's robbing you of energy. I relate to that because I feel that way about that damn picture wall. And I've gone through periods of my life where I didn't pay my bills because I couldn't pay my bills, but I thought about my bills all the damn time. Overwhelm is torture. Feeling like you're stuck in a vicious cycle where you got to do more, or you got to move faster, or you got to put this, it's just pressure, and it's keeping you stuck there. And so now you know the truth. You can focus. You can prioritize. You can use the rule of 3 and just focus on doing the important things. Not everything is important. And when you stop acting as if it is, you will able to get done what needs to get done. See, overwhelm goes away the minute you start to take control. And that usually happens, honestly, with a simple pen and a blank piece of paper. That's it. Do the brain dump. Pick 3 things. Tell yourself, that doesn't fucking matter today. Remind yourself that anything that is an emergency bubbles its way to the top. And always ask yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I take the pressure off? How can I do the damn thing? And just pick one of those 3 and get started. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pay that bill. Make that call. Write that next paragraph. Roll out that yoga mat. Pick up that guitar. Or for me, write that eulogy. And then on the plane ride home, log into Shutterfly and see if you can find all of those photos that used to be stored there. Do what you've been avoiding. Follow the rule of 3 and give yourself a fucking break if you're feeling legitimate overwhelm, because it will be over. But you have a choice over whether or not it's your lifestyle anymore. And for crying out loud, stop telling yourself those 4 lies. No, you can't handle it in your head. No, rushing won't make you fit it all in. And no, everything's not of equal importance. And no, you don't need to do more. In fact, you need to do a lot less. You just need to do the things that really matter to you. And when you do that, you, my friend, are going to get your life and all of that energetic time back. And I so want that for you. Whew. I feel better. I hope you feel better. I wish you were here so I could give you a hug. You know, after a great walk with a friend, you give each other a hug. And you're like, okay, when are we doing this again? We're doing this? Yeah, you know when we're doing this again? We're doing this on Thursday. And between now and then, I want to make sure I tell you, I love you. I believe in you. And I believe in your ability to really focus on what matters to you and go create a better life for yourself. I am about to explain the simple 3-step process that you are going to use based on research in order to break the vicious cycle of procrastination and to take back your time and your life. I mean, this is big stuff. And I'm going to warn you, like a lot of things that I share, at first glance, it might sound kind of stupid. This one might even sound a little schmarmy. But this is all research-based. And in fact, I have a copy of the 5-Second Rule book right here with me. I'm on page 145, which is where chapter 11 begins, which is all about the science of procrastination. Step number 1 to breaking this cycle. When you catch yourself procrastinating, forgive yourself. Step 1. The next time you catch yourself procrastinating, step 1 is forgive yourself. And there's a really profound reason why. Procrastination is not about laziness. It's not about a lack of discipline. It's not something you do because you're dumb. Procrastination is a coping mechanism. You just have a desire to feel good right now, and you deserve that. You have a desire to lessen the stress in your life, and you deserve to lessen the stress in your life. I get it. And this first step, to forgive yourself, this comes from research from Dr. Peichel. By the way, he has been studying procrastination for 2 decades. I mean, just imagine that. Studying procrastination for 2 decades. That is a dedicated person right there, and we thank you for your service to all of us. His research found that people who forgive themselves are less likely to procrastinate again. In fact, there was a study that he did. I want to turn to the page. I got the book right here. He co-authored a paper about how students who forgave themselves for procrastinating were less likely to procrastinate on their next test. It sounds silly, but part of the problem that psychologists have uncovered is that when you're somebody that procrastinates, you're really hard on yourselves to begin with. In fact, being hard on yourself is one of the major causes of why you're so damn stressed. And so taking a moment and forgiving yourself, and you've got to actually have a talk with yourself where you are sitting there like, oh my God, 2 hours just went by? Wow, I must be really stressed out. I forgive myself for just blowing off 2 hours on social media. And you know what? I can spend the next hour setting my day up tomorrow for success. Or maybe you see all your bills and you realize you haven't opened those suckers in 2 months. Just go, wow, I haven't opened my bills in 2 months? I must be really nervous about this. I forgive myself for not doing that. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just do the best that I can. I'm going to face this head on. Because the next step that you're going to take, once you forgive yourself, you got to recognize that you're doing it. Why? Because patterns and habits repeat unless you replace them. And so noticing that it's a pattern, catching yourself, forgiving yourself, that is a way we're going to break this pattern. Because the step 2, based on research, you must identify what you're stressed about. So let's go back to the example of seeing bills piling up or getting the second notification that you didn't pay that parking ticket because you procrastinated and now you missed the deadline and now it's twice as expensive. Whoa, I really blew that off. I forgive myself. What am I stressed about? I'm really stressed about senior year of college ending. I'm really stressed about this presentation that's coming up. I'm really stressed that I'm behind on my sales quota. I'm really stressed that my spouse and I haven't really talked for the last couple days and they're really mad at me. I'm really stressed about getting these test results back from my dad. I'm worried about him. When you identify what you're actually stressed about, it loosens its grip on you. It comes out of hiding. And see, I think that stress backpack is an important analogy or metaphor that you can visualize. It's behind you. So you're not like thinking about it. When you identify what it is, you bring it right in front of your face. And because you're now identifying the source of the stress, it loosens its grip. And now what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, well, what would the future me want to do right now? Vidi, the artist in you that has already finished her portfolio, what does she want you to do right now? You've forgiven yourself. You've acknowledged what's stressing you out, which is the relentless pursuit of perfection. What does the future you want you to do? Or Mel, you're zipping up your pants and that bread basket is in there and, you forgive yourself for blowing this off for so long and you acknowledge the stress that you feel because you are getting older and this makes you feel like you're not in control of what's going on. What would the future Mel that had gone to see the doctor and has got this in place, what would she want you to do right now? And so that's what you're going to ask yourself. What does the future you want you to do right now? And it might just be the future you being the person that's waking up tomorrow morning. If you're sitting on the couch, 2 glasses of wine in, and you realize you've procrastinated for the last 5 hours, and you've acknowledged it, you've forgiven yourself for doing it, you've acknowledged the stress that you feel because, you are in a fight with a friend or a boyfriend or whatever, What is the you that's going to wake up tomorrow morning want you to do right now? I'll tell you what that you wants you to do. They want you to get off the couch. They want you to pack lunch for tomorrow. They want you to brush your teeth and turn off the TV and the phone and read 10 pages of nonfiction and get a good night's sleep. That's what the future you wants you to do. The future you does not want you to slip back into that vicious cycle and spend another 3 hours watching cat videos and memes and TikTok videos, which we both know is exactly what you would do if you didn't break the cycle by forgiving yourself for doing it for 3 hours, acknowledging what you're stressed about, and then deciding what the future you wants you to do instead. And then finally, use the 5-second rule. Why? This is not just listening time, people. This is doing time. We always say that about the Mel Robbins podcast. Use the 5-second rule. It's one of the most effective science-backed starting rituals on the planet for creating a new habit or pattern. And all you're going to do is you're just going to start. Because after you've forgiven yourself and you've validated what's stressing you out, and you've tapped into the future you who is kicking ass and taking names and needs you right now, I just want you to start for 1 minute. So Vidi, when you sit down tomorrow morning and that self-doubt is there and that procrastination kicks in, no problem. Use the steps. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start drawing for 1 minute. And here's what we know based on the research. Once you make that first cold call, you're likely to keep going. Once you start writing that first sentence on this chapter, you're going to keep writing. Once you hit record on that video, you're going to keep going. Once you fill out the first name, last name line on the application you need to fill out, you're going to keep going. Once you pull up your resume template and you start writing, you're going to keep going. Because the problem isn't your ability to do what you need to do. The problem is you've been trapped in this stress and trauma and nervous system triggered vicious procrastination cycle. And look, I know this sounds like, really? Oh my God. Mel, come on. I was listening to this because I want to be more productive. I want to make more money. I want to get more shit done. I want to have more life balance. Now you're telling me productivity. It's about forgiving myself. It's about calling forth the future me. Why would I want to try that? Well, let's hear a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, I will tell you why. YouTube, you enjoying this? Great. We make these videos for you. You're watching the Mel Robbins podcast. And I want to make sure you've subscribed to YouTube. And I also want to make sure, please support this show. If you're enjoying this, if you're loving this, share these episodes. I know you got people in your life that are struggling with this, so please share this episode. Please subscribe to this channel. All of that helps us grow, and that helps us continue to bring this to you for zero cost. And you know I want to do that for you. Mwah. Back to the show. So why would you want to try that? Let me tell you why. Because procrastination is a habit, and this habit becomes a very vicious cycle. And that's exactly where Vidi is trapped. So let her tell you what it feels like when you don't nip this in the bud. When the vicious cycle of procrastinating on her art and her work is now creeping into other areas of your life.
The worst part of all of this, whatever this is, self-doubt or whatever, wanting to be perfect, whatever this is, the worst part is that this doubt, this fear is slowly seeping into all areas of my life. I know this is affecting all the relationships in my life. And I am just worried that this will take over and destroy everything I love. So I think the question is rather, how can I relearn to believe in myself? How can I relearn to believe that I deserve all the good things that come my way and that I am good enough? How can I learn that?
Vidi, I love that. I love that you reframed the question because that is what this is about. See, I told you procrastination was not about productivity. And I also told you that the thing that triggers it was going to surprise you. And that's why this topic is so important. I say every day that it is never too late to wake up and be the person you want to be. And you deserve that. And here's the truth on how you do that. You have to act like you believe in yourself before you believe in yourself. I'm going to say that again. You want to learn how to stop doubting yourself? You want to learn how to believe in yourself again? You want to learn how to not be so afraid or full of doubt or full of perfectionism, which, by the way, is something you learned in order to cope with crap that was going on in childhood. Perfectionism, everybody, is what you do in order to protect yourself from rejection. There's a huge, huge connection between your desire to be perfect, procrastinating, and the fear of rejection. And so using these tools, you not only are going to break the pattern of procrastination, you have a roadmap for the actions that take you to the future you. Because again, you have to act like you believe in yourself before you do believe in yourself. So let me just make this super, super detailed for you. Viddy, when you wake up tomorrow morning and you sit down in that chair and you walk through these simple steps that I've just taught you based on the research, when you start drawing, you are acting like you believe in yourself. And notice you started drawing before you did believe in yourself. That's why this is so powerful. When you see yourself acknowledging that you're procrastinating and labeling the stress and forgiving yourself for getting triggered by it, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, doing it anyway, because you're the kind of person that picks up the phone or picks up the pen or walks out the door or says that thing or does that thing, and you keep doing that consistently, you know what's going to happen? You're not only going to get the results that you want, you're going to believe in yourself because you're going to see yourself doing the work to get the results that you want. It begins with the action. And that's why I say the Mel Robbins podcast is not a listening podcast. It's a doing podcast. It's in the doing that you become someone new. You cannot wait to feel ready. You cannot wait to feel motivated. You cannot wait for procrastination to disappear. It doesn't work that way. You got to act before you feel ready. You got to act like you believe before you do. And that's why this topic is so important. It's why I believe this will be probably one of our most shared episodes, because everybody struggles with this. Whether you have kids in college or high school, share this episode with them. If there's somebody that you wish would change, this episode will be very eye-opening. If you have somebody in your life, maybe it's you, or maybe it's somebody that you care deeply about that has huge potential, and you're like, why won't they just start doing that thing? Why are they not writing their music? Why are they not starting their channel? Why are they not applying to nursing school? Why don't they believe in themselves? Why don't they just do that thing? I'll tell you why. They're stuck in a vicious cycle. And now you understand it. So send this episode to them so they can understand it too.
All right, without further ado, let's go to Megan, who is standing by. And Megan, I'm super excited that you're on. And I think the biggest question that I have is, how on earth are you in a quiet spot when you have 6 children at home?
Yeah, it's not easy, but I have older kids that help watch the younger kids, so.
Gotcha. So tell me what's going on. What can I help you with?
Well, thank you for having me. I feel like I'm very ambitious. I have lots of goals. I run a business, and I'm also a contractor for companies, so I'm doing a lot. And like you
Fantastic.
said, I have 6 kids. So I also run the household. I take care of all of our finances. I do the shopping and the cooking. And I feel like my husband is just the complete opposite. He's happy where he is in his job. There's room for him to get promoted, but he doesn't want to be promoted. And in his free time, he just plays video games and watches TV. I don't want it to sound like I'm talking bad about him, because I love my husband. But it's getting to a point where I don't know how to motivate him to help me more without me having to ask him over and over to do things. I feel like he wants to do things for me, but we just maybe need some better communication between us. I want him to take more initiative and to just take things off my plate, whereas he wants me to give him direction and more direction and more direction.
Are you the primary breadwinner in the household?
I am.
Okay, this is what I call breadwinner resentment rage. And I have struggled with this in my own marriage. And 40% of women who work are the primary breadwinners in their household. And when you are in a traditional heterosexual relationship, where what was modeled for the men is that the guys go out and make the money and the women take care of everything. What happens at, I think, a subconscious level for a lot of men, because this is what happened for Chris, is that, of course, our husbands are proud of us, but our success highlights a insecurity that society and old modeling based on gender has created in men. And for women, the pressure on women from society is look good, take care of everybody, be kind, don't be bossy, serve other people. For men, their worth is defined by whether or not they're successful. And when you get into a relationship where your wife is the go-getter and your wife has the big career and your wife has her own business and your wife is making all the money, it subconsciously starts to bother you about your own success. And one of two things happen. It can cause a lot of fighting and picking in a relationship because of this dynamic. And because there's not a lot of people talking about it, so couples don't really know what's quite going on and how to navigate this thing and how the money plays a role into it. The other thing that can happen is your spouse can just kind of check out. And that's what it sounds like is happening. And so for me, this happened in my marriage, Megan, 5 years ago. When my speaking career took off like this, it happened at a moment in time where my husband's restaurant business was going like that. And so my success, as much as we welcomed it, and my gosh, this is amazing, and you go get him, Mel, in a profound way, it made Chris start to have a crisis internally about whether or not he was providing. And as much as he would say, Megan, to me, I'll help, I'll pick up the kids in the pickup line, what do you want me to get at the grocery store? What would happen for him is that when he would be in the pickup line at school, and 5 years ago, he's like the only dad he can see. And he also knows he's not a dad that popped out of work early to go do it. He's a dad that doesn't have a job while his wife is off doing something. It made him feel like a loser. It made him feel unsuccessful. Running to the grocery store at 3:00 in the afternoon, sitting in a pediatrician's office with a kid, just subconsciously makes a guy question, what am I doing? Like, how did this happen? The way that women have so much pressure to be thin that when we pass a mirror and we put on extra weight, we're beating ourselves up subconsciously. And so that is the dynamic that's at play, because I am of the belief that there are some men that are just jerks, that they were in a household that was very chauvinistic, mom did everything, that's women's work, but that's not what's happening. You've got a guy that says, yeah, I'd love to help. But then when it comes time to self-motivate, he's not doing it. And so here's how you change that dynamic. First of all, the two of you, away from the children, need to have a conversation about how his success is impacting, how your success is impacting him and his goals. That's number one. And does he need anything from you? As crazy as it sounds to ask him if you can do anything more, but I'm talking at an emotional, psychological connection level. The second thing is to express very clearly what you need from him, which it sounds like you've done. Mm-hmm. The way that this becomes a new pattern in your relationship is that you create a weekly schedule, and the two of you go over this schedule once a week, where you walk through what's going on. And maybe overnight, it's not you're cooking dinner every night or you're doing pickup every day. Maybe it's, hey, these days are busy in the office. I need you to do this at 5:00. I need you to do this at 4:00 on Thursday. Could you schedule the like you just are going to have to assign how you want things done, because the second dynamic is if you're successful, which you are, and you're also a business owner, which you are, you're a really good executive, which means you know how to spot what needs to get done and create structure around it. It's in your nature. It's what you do. And when somebody isn't doing it, you jump in and do it, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And what you're starting to do is maybe you're collapsing your need emotionally to feel like you're being supported by your partner with the fact that when it comes to executive functioning skills, that's not where he is. And he needs your support and your coaching to know how to take care of you in this way. And instead of adding a layer of resentment or I don't want to have to ask, I think you probably need 3 months of asking so that he has been communicated with very effectively about exactly what he should be doing week to week to week to week, so that you feel really taken care of. And I put it in the language of, if you want to take care of me and really support me, the way that I need your support is through X, Y, Z. Versus, we got to split the household, we got to do that. It's put it in the language when Chris connected the dots, that doing things and being the primary parent and doing more around the house was a amazing way to be a caretaker. That's when it really clicked for him. That he didn't have to buy me a bunch of stuff. He didn't have to take me out to dinner. If I came home and there were fresh flowers on that kitchen counter and he had run to the grocery store, I felt like the luckiest woman on the planet. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.